All right, again. Should we do the clap?
Clap sync.
Yeah.
I don't want the lip sync to be off.
Yeah, no, it's very important. For a podcast. Anyway, yeah, we're back again for another yearly installment.
Everyone's already being disruptive.
Yes.
We could do this more often. I've just wanted to sync it up with the release of my comics. I forget.
Which isn't so common.
Which is like yearly.
Yeah.
145-page issue yearly, which... Alright, hang on. He's got a... He's got to get it all out.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to calm down, bud. I know me being here is like a big energizer, but...
Have you heard that stupid song, Calm Down? Calm down. Calm down.
Baby, won't you calm down?
Yeah.
Calm down.
And it goes lol 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 lol
Yes.
lol lol for like half the song.
Yeah,
it just reminds me of those old like funny or whatever the meme comics of like the lol face and the troll face.
Or like the actual like clip like
Yeah, troll.
Yeah.
I was just gonna do like a Star Wars rant because I think I've mentioned that a few times in the other podcasts. Is like one of these days I'm gonna have to do a Star Wars rant because I'm always on the verge of like saying a bunch of shit about it.
Yeah, I'm sure I know it's breached our discussions before, like probably on our top movie list or anywhere else really.
Yeah, I usually sync these up with like these coming out with like me being done with an issue of my comic, but I don't remember if we've done this since the third one was finished or not, the third issue.
And the fourth is finished now.
No, it's halfway done.
Okay.
But I really don't think we did it for the third one, so...
Fake news.
Fake news?
It's fake news.
Pause for laughter.
Yeah. He's like the sound guy, you know, that's playing all the sound effects for the radio, like...
Yeah.
Boom, 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 ding, ding, ding. 90FX diff M. That was...
I can't wait to like put on my headphones and start editing the audio and just like you hear our voices, but over it it's just of everyone just licking something in the background.
And like, yep, that's about whole probably.
It's like hyper fixated like over our shoulders for some reason. There, how's that goodness?
Okay, don't.
That was his foot.
That's for no one other than like you later on. You can edit that out.
Hey me, how are you? You can like that. You like when I'm
okay.
Real sexy with my voice, future self.
Oh god.
Oh yeah, I do. Past me.
Past, present me. The past, present participle.
Participle. But the fourth issue's halfway done. Generally speaking, and just I don't know. Life is always getting in the way of any long-term project like this, so I just like do the podcast when I can to remind people that I'm not dead. I'm still doing things back here. Not just like the regular everyday things that I have to do, but also these projects, these passion projects I have.
Yeah. I mean, hey, you do still find the time to play video games, so I mean, maybe you could like become an e-boy.
An e-boy?
Yeah.
Those have to exist.
I mean, they
not
must.
Not a e-girl or e-boy, but a VTuber.
Yeah.
Virtual reality tuber where it's an anime girl like grafted onto a
dude.
Probably.
Oh, I know for a fact that exists.
Okay, I don't know if there are any like VTubers that are actual male, like characters. I can't think of any, but I'm sure they exist. I'm sure that's got to cater to some
male VTubers.
Mm-hmm. Male VTuber characters, not like guy in real life.
Yeah. I don't know. There is Merryweather Comics. Have you heard of them?
Sounds familiar. You'd think I would know something with the name in comics.
Yeah, he makes comics, but he also is like a internet personality. He's a VTuber, I'm pretty sure. Some dog boy or something. just like you.
There's 2 dogs in here, so if you hear various dog noises throughout the recording, I apologize. I don't think people would be too pissed off about that.
It is Merryweather. He is here with us.
Merryweather Comics, everybody. He won't be saying anything.
Just licking his own ass a little bit.
He only speaks through his VTuber character, which is not here, so he can't say anything.
Yeah. Yeah. Always become a V-boy.
Alright, yeah, I'm gonna draw this, like, sexy, shirtless anime dude, femboy.
That reminds me.
My character.
Someone that I, like, used to watch, back when, or I didn't really watch, but he was associated with the Yogscast way back in the day when I watched him. His name is In the Little One. And, you know, he was...
That?
I don't know what's up with his name, but it's In the Littlewood. And anyway, yeah, he was just like a normal YouTuber back in the day, but I just like saw him on Twitch, like listed on someone else's stream, and clicked on it, and now he's a VTuber as himself.
But yeah, VTubing's the new Let's Playing. Not just because it really is Let's Playing most of the time, but it's just like that fad that everyone's following, like, oh, I could do that.
Yeah, I mean,
that's an easy enough thing to do by myself.
Yeah, and there's wicked, like, I mean, like, you know, there's, of course, systems in place for, you know, people to easily just make their own.
Now, but...
Yeah, I mean, like, it's kind of, like, in terms of the ability for anyone to make, or, like, become one, it's kind of like the golden era. But, I mean, it doesn't really compare to, like, a couple years ago, like, during the pandemic, when, like, streaming in general was just, like, exploding. I don't think it's as popular as it was, like, back then, of course. I mean, with everyone working from home.
No, and the most successful VTubers still, like, Japanese women that have, like, a whole team, and I think they're all the big ones are handled by the same company.
Really?
Yeah.
Man, that's funny.
So, we decided that the topic today was going to be my Star Wars rant that I've sort of been talking about in past podcasts. But we can just, like, say whatever else is on our mind in the meantime, just so it's not just me raging about Star Wars for an hour and a half or whatever.
Strawberry Jello.
What? But is that what's on your mind? Yeah. Is that what your mind is? Just soft strawberry Jello?
Well, it's hard for it to be the latter without also being the former, am I right?
That's true. I am always thinking about brain.
Yes. Which, you know, we are all just brains, so it's a brain thinking about itself, you know?
What do you think? Like, what else is new right now? Is there anything big
in Star Wars?
No, just entertainment in general, like the stuff we usually talk about on here.
Because frankly, there is probably stuff big in Star Wars right now.
Well, that's part of the rant.
Yeah.
Let's put a pin in that.
Big stuff. Yeah, Guardians Volume 3.
Across the Spider-Verse just opened.
Oh yeah, that's right. Across the Spider-Verse.
People really like it, and
really?
I'm looking forward to seeing it. But
that's
I guess we should wait for Dad next weekend because he'll want to see it.
Yeah, that would be a good idea.
And Guardians. I don't go to the movies a lot anymore. The last movie I went out and saw probably was the last Marvel movie. Didn't we go see something?
Quantumania?
Yeah, you and I just...
Dad.
Was that with Dad?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah.
For your birthday, remember? For your, like, it was belated birthday, so it was like April. Okay. It wasn't even that long ago now, really.
Yeah, so I don't really see movies at the theater unless, like, you know, families visiting or something.
Yeah, I don't really either. There was a movie that me and you just went to, like, I mean, it was kind of a long time ago now, but...
Was it The Way of Water? No, that it was also Christmas, wasn't it?
I didn't see The Way of Water.
Oh, I went by myself, I guess.
Must have been. There was... Yeah, I forget what it was, but there was one movie that we were just like, hey, like, why don't we just go?
Really? You didn't see it with the whales and such? I could have sworn I saw that with you.
Oh, wait, no, yeah, Avatar.
Avatar.
Yeah, for some reason I was thinking, like, something else.
Because I know we saw Black Panther.
Yeah.
Together.
Yeah, we did see it. Maybe that's what we went and saw.
Well, are you confusing the two movies about water people, blue water people? How could you? They came out within a month of each other?
No, never. Yeah, for some reason I was thinking of I thought you were talking about like even further back, like The Shape of Water, but that was like a long, long time ago,
Yeah,
right?
you haven't seen The Shape of Water.
Yes, that I haven't seen.
It's Shape of Water's fine. Everything happens exactly as you think it would happen. There was even another water-related one that came out recently, wasn't there?
Nothing's coming to me.
Like I said, I don't see movies in the theater a lot. I wanted to see Dungeons and Dragons because I heard that was good, but
Yeah, I did too.
then it was out of theaters and they put it on the streaming service that I'm not going to buy.
Which one?
Yeah,
Who knows?
I don't know. One of them. Max.
If it was Prime, then we already had it.
But yeah, there hasn't been too much else just like noteworthy in the entertainment industry lately. I don't think.
Yeah, nothing real at least. A lot of like AI things,
Oh yeah,
like The Hobbit by Wes Anderson or anything like that.
that stuff's interesting. So if you're listening to this in the robot apocalypse, this is where it all started. Robots making Nintendo games as a '90s sitcom.
Have you seen the thing where it's like it's like Chat GPT combined with like it's a Skyrim mod with like Chat GPT where like the clip I saw is of Lydia, and it's probably only of Lydia considering how hard it is to code and that kind of stuff, I imagine. But anyway, like you can like input like actual like I don't know, speech to it. And you could say like, Lydia, what have you been doing? Like, what have you been up to? If you haven't been like, if she hasn't been like following you, and she'll like say something. I mean, that's like the clip I saw, and maybe that's the extent of it. But it was pretty in depth. Like, there was a like in the video, she like said, oh, like I've just been like in Whiterun, mucking about, but like the Khajiit like out in front, they like stole something from me, and then the character is like, oh, you should watch yourself around the Khajiit, they can be crafty. And then
Oh, it speaks for you too.
it doesn't speak for you, but like it like that's what he said. That's what it's like a typed input. And then he says like, do you want me to like, you know, go get like the thing that the Khajiit stole? And Lydia's like, that's fine, master, like it was nothing of any value and it won't happen again or something. And it's just crazy. Like, I mean, it's really cool, but at the same time, it's kind of like, at least with like Bethesda games, I feel like it's very binary, where it's like you kind of want to exhaust like the speech options. You know, you want to explore like everything everyone has to say. So if like they can say anything, then
Yeah, you literally could sit there all day having a conversation.
yeah, with like, I mean, I guess people do that with like AI companions and like boyfriends or whatever, girlfriends.
Yeah, but like, there's also the thing where like the AI would never be like, okay, this conversation's been going on way too long, and I've got things to do.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just one of those AI blind spots.
Yeah.
Is there like a Rule 34 of like, or one of those?
Yes, there is a rule.
Of Skyrim. No, of just like one of those internet rules where it's like, if it's a thing, somebody has modded it into Skyrim.
I'm sure there is. Like that's Rule 35, actually.
Yeah, it's rule 34 and a half.
Yeah, it probably came before 34. It's Rule 12, actually.
There is definitely a Rule 34 pack for. Well, I've seen worse than that for Skyrim.
There's dozens of them. I mean, you know that old quip, like, what, like 70% of the internet is porn? Probably extends to Minecraft mods.
Yeah, it probably is. Any platform,
Yeah, exactly.
any form in which you could show a naked whammon.
Yeah.
In
Bob's
it's 90% porn.
Speaking of Wes Anderson, or I guess I was speaking about it like a few minutes ago now. I did just see.
It's been like an hour for.
Yeah. I did just see a preview for his new one called Meteor City or Asteroid City or something.
I think one of them's a location in Hunter x Hunter. I'm trying to figure out which.
If it's both, if Wes Anderson is making something that is taking the name from something in Hunter x Hunter, then beautiful. Even if he doesn't know it.
Yeah, Hunter x Hunter's a Wes Anderson film. Get on it.
Yeah,
Get on it.
Yeah, come on, AI generators. Yeah, but like watching the preview, because I've seen so much of like the AI, like I've seen like at least 3 like Wes Anderson themed AI fake movies, and just like watching the preview, like it almost looked like one. You know, it was just like so Wes Anderson, so like pastel and like straight like 90-degree shots.
But those are still images, right? Not video.
The AI ones.
Yeah.
No, there's well,
the one you're talking about.
The preview.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's real.
No, the
Meteor City is real.
That's real. The AI generated Wes Anderson things. Those are just still images.
Yeah. Sometimes no, they're kind of videos.
All right, because whenever the AI does videos, it usually makes like human mouths into these horrible monstrosities.
Yeah, I don't know if they're getting better or if like people are just like getting good at editing them in post somehow. But yeah, I've seen ones like I saw one that was like Harry Potter, but everyone's fat. It's like who would think of that? But like
finally somebody putting it to good use.
Yeah, but they made like them say things like you're fat, you're obese, Mr. Potter, or something.
And we thought deepfakes were
a
problem before.
Yeah, right. There's also the other trend is Balenciaga. I don't know if you've seen it.
Why is that? Is it just like anything that's got like a really extreme visual flair to it?
I think so. I think it just like it takes like that one all the little like details and just like accentuates it and makes them into like like Milanese fashion style. I don't know. It's weird. Like I've seen SpongeBob Balenciaga, Star Wars Balenciaga, and I mean it all looks like genuine stuff.
And I've seen Overwatch Balenciaga.
Yeah, of course, I'm sure. That's another thing. I've seen like SpongeBob. The SpongeBob Balenciaga was like videos, not like yeah, kind of GIF almost. Like it's a frame, but like the person in it's moving only very slightly.
Yeah, well, I mean, AI can animate famous paintings like the Mona Lisa, so just apply that to an image that's already created.
Yeah, it's very uncanny still, of course, and it's just like I've almost like seen enough of it now where it's like seeped into my brain. Where sometimes when I just like am sitting there and I just like adjust my head or something, I'm like, that the motion I just made is something that like an AI generated like person would do, and I don't know why that's occurring to me.
Yeah, it's like a person pretending to be a person, but not necessarily a natural movement. So yeah, check back in on us in a year or two to see how the AI revolution's been going.
Yeah, when this podcast turns into like Survivor Journal.
Yeah,
day 400.
Podcast episode 5.
yeah, years later. 2034.
You can see the different iterations of this podcast demonstrates the downfall of mankind.
Yeah.
With each episode.
Anyway, yeah, this was going to be about Star Wars.
Yeah, so to start...
Wars.
Flame Wars... To start wars.
To start wars.
We're cutting that out.
Shut up.
When I was a wee lad back in Belgium.
Okay, Tintin.
Let's talk about Tintin.
I mean, we could.
How quickly can we derail this thing?
Oh god. I mean, like, it wouldn't be much content.
This is gonna be. There's a joke, and I really actually will get back on point. But there's a joke. It's just Randy Feltface stand-up comedy bit where it's like the whole bit is he's trying to start reading a bit of the novel he wrote, but keeps getting distracted, and then this right as he starts reading, the lights cut out because it's been an hour, 2 hour stand-up bit. It's
Oh
like
my
it's a funny stand-up bit, but I'm really starting to get vibes of that now.
Oh yeah. Anyway, back when you were a wee lad in Belgium.
Dad introduced me to Star Wars. We were thinking about doing this with him. He got me this like golden like VHS set of the. It was
The original.
It was the original trilogy, but it was the what are they called? The extended edition or the special edition where
Yeah, collector's edition.
well, it's really like George Lucas went in and made a bunch of edits, like the Han not shooting first and stuff. So that's actually the version I saw first.
Yeah, that's right.
And I know a lot of people are gonna cry about that. But that was like after Han shot first, but before Darth Vader shouts "No" when he's throwing Emperor Palpatine over the side. Have you seen that version?
No.
It really. I experienced.
Is that like a Disney version, or is that?
No, it was even before Disney, I think.
Huh.
But it came after the special editions that I saw, where, and when he's throwing Emperor Palpatine. Spoiler alert for that movie trilogy everyone talks about from the 70s. He throws Emperor Palpatine over the side of inside the Death Star. And it was silent before and in the special edition, but somewhere along the way he added the no. That's like from the scene in Revenge of the Sith where he's going no, and that ruined it for me. And I guess that's experiencing what all the nerds have been talking about all these years with the Han shot first and stuff. It's like, hey, that's not the way I remember it. It was way better before.
Yeah,
and I really do think that.
I mean, yeah. I guess far be it for me to like disagree with the creator of it, but at the same time, like, why bother? You know, like, I mean, maybe like make like one edition where you just make all your little changes, but why like continue to make little changes? Like, oh wait, I should have done that, and then he actually goes and like changes it like officially, like
come on. And more recently there was the McClunky thing. You've heard about that, right?
So I've heard of it.
It was in no official version, and then when Disney bought the rights and re-released all of this original trilogy, George Lucas had already edited something else in, and it was Greedo just going McClunky right before he shoots or Han shoots him.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's an audio clip that you can listen for, and it does sound totally out of place. And it's just like, why? And I think George Lucas even said, it's like, oh, that's something Sebulba said in The Phantom Menace, so I wanted to add it in for consistency.
And I was that consistent.
Just to keep I know, even though it's a different race of aliens entirely. But yeah, I guess that just proves. I love George Lucas, but that's what's going on through his mind most of the time, I guess. Is just like, how further could I have changed my films?
Yeah. Also, I feel like it just doesn't make sense. Like, why would Darth Vader throw the Emperor over and then like instantly regret it? Like,
no, sure. He's like as he's doing it, because the Emperor's like electrifying Luke.
Yeah.
And in the original trilogy, he just kind of looks from one to the other, and then he picks up the Emperor and hucks him over. But in this one, he picks up the Emperor. Before he picks him, he's like, no, and he picks him up and he's like, no, and throws him over. And it just kind of ruins the moment, in my opinion.
I'm not
and
sure
maybe Star Wars fans that come afterwards would disagree with me, just like I disagree with the whole Han shot first thing. It's not that I disagree with it; I just don't care that much. And I like
whatever you saw first, right?
And I like the Sarlacc having a beak. But whatever, that's all.
Yeah, that's right.
But anyway, I saw that. So that's the first Star Wars I saw, and I liked it. And it was something I shared my father in, which probably further deepened my joy of it.
So the original trilogy was what we saw first.
This is what I saw first. I mean, I'm
not sure if I can't.
I was rubber baby buggy bumpers back then, man. So you were like a zygote.
Yeah, true.
So I don't even know if you would remember any of that pre-Phantom Menace.
Yeah, my earliest memory is like Phantom Menace, Clone Wars, or Attack of the Clones.
Yeah,
different things.
Like in 2002.
Yeah,
man, it's been a while since any of that. But yeah, I saw the original trilogy and I liked it, and it was something Dad and I shared, like the fan of this stuff. But it did scare me.
Did it?
Yeah, the Wampa was scary. I didn't like seeing blood.
Oh yeah, the Wampa was scary. I remember seeing that. For the first time.
Even in the first movie, he cuts that dude's arm off, and I hated gore, and I hated gore as a child, and so just seeing a severed arm was enough to put me off. And there are boring parts of it. I feel like that doesn't get brought up enough, especially for like a 6 like 5 or 6 year old child, there's some long stretches of just kind of dullness, something a child wouldn't be interested in. And this is like, it's a puppet show for kids at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I remember thinking that a lot about the fifth one, episode 5.
Yeah, like
which,
as a kid, I just kind of cut out after the Imperial Walker scenes. Like that's
yeah,
what I came
exactly.
for.
Like I get like that. Like the first scene is also what most people like remember, but considering that's episode 5 is the only one on like the IMDb like top 100 list, right? I'm pretty sure.
Well, it's the one everyone touts as the best.
Yeah.
Even
I mean,
now.
yeah. Both. But especially what you said.
Yeah, but definitely
Anyway,
as a kid.
I don't know. There was less action in it. Like seeing Yoda was cool, but also just kind of weird. And as a kid,
From a story
awesome.
building perspective, the Imperial Walker scene should have been like at the end, and then it should have like bridged from there to the whole "I am your father" scene.
Yeah, that would have been cool, but also just opening up that shit must have been bonkers.
Yeah,
for
the best foot
theater
forward
goers.
versus building to like your best. I don't know. It's an either or, but everybody loves episode 5, and I probably did say the same thing, mostly because of the Imperial Walker stuff, and that kind of segues into my next point, which is that like I think I like the prequels best because it came out at that like I said, like 8 to 10 age where I loved spaceships and just like spaceships shooting at each other, and the prequels are more of that.
Yeah, I mean, we may have let that cat out of the bag in one of our previous.
Yeah, you're right, because it was on my top 10.
Yeah, exactly.
Attack of the Clones was, which is like everyone's least favorite.
Yeah, I mean, I love it. I think my least favorite of the prequels is definitely episode 3.
Yeah, and I wonder if that's not because we were getting old enough to realize... Actually, it's not even that we were old enough to realize that it was bad, because that's all subjective, but I was old enough to have expectations and have it not meet them, because before Revenge of the Sith came out, I was a fan of Genndy Tartakovsky's Clone Wars, the 2D ones made by the Samurai Jack guy, which were so hype and cool.
Oh yeah, like fucking Mace Windu facing off against... He was the one that faced off against General Grievous in the...
No, he just took down like an entire army of droids by by hand, basically.
Who faced off against General Grievous in the...
Kai Adi Mundi, the guy with the big forehead.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that General Grievous scene was like the coolest thing.
Oh my god, yeah.
And then in the movie, he's cool, but he's not as cool, and he's finished off not even halfway through the film, and just sort of as like, that's the plot. It moves the plot forward.
Which, again, like, as a kid, that's kind of like where I just kind of like clocked out. Like, alright, like, action's over. From here on out, it's basically just like tying up loose ends and like ramming in like all the story bits to make sure things line up.
Well, that's just it. It is all the dramatic story bits, and I think that's like what people are bringing up when they talk about how much they love Star Wars. Like, oh, it's all the characters and the good story bits, and the prequels don't have those, yada yada yada. And I think, yeah, that is true, and it's probably true depending on who you ask. But I think Star Wars has always just been about spectacle and just like big, larger than life, like space stuff. Because like, other movies in the 70s and 80s had, in 60s, I guess it was like 69 when the first one came out. Like, other movies then had good story, but none of them were like big space battles to the same degree. And I think that's really what propelled Star Wars into like this, occupying this like #1 spot for all movies. It's just like, regardless of what you think about it, when you think of movie or movies or cinema, it's like Star Wars is probably the first thing a lot of people think of, just because of like the Luke, I am your father thing, and just again the spectacle of it.
Was that 20th Century Fox?
Yes.
Yeah, because I want to say, like, that's like the movie that I think of like when I see the spotlights and like the dun, 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 dun.
Yeah,
like,
and obviously that depends on who you ask, but I think if you just like did a consensus on, if I say movie, what's the first thing that comes to your head? I think Star Wars is going to really be up there, if not the most frequently
the
said
#1
response. Yeah,
I
think.
probably a little family feud out here.
But yeah, things have definitely changed over time. The prequels were not even considered bad when they came out. All the movie critics loved them.
Really?
Yeah, Roger Ebert loved all three. I'm pretty sure.
Wow.
And
I mean, like, the first one, like, in my opinion, like, is a slam dunk. Like, sure, like, Kid Anakin, a little annoying, Jar Jar Binks, a little annoying, but, like, young Obi-Wan Kenobi, amazing, Qui-Gon Jinn, amazing, like, the introduction of C-3PO and R2-D2, amazing, all pod racing, even with Anakin, amazing. I don't know, I think that's my favorite, personally, is The Phantom Menace.
But see, that's funny because out of the prequels, it's probably my least favorite, and I have heard the take that it's the worst one.
Really?
Yeah, I've heard the take that number two is
like,
the worst one, and I've heard have heard the take where Phantom Menace is the worst one, and then there's my take, which is Revenge of the Sith is the worst
which
one.
is also my take. But I mean, like, I don't know. I don't know if I'd call it the worst. It's just like my least favorite.
And this just all gets back to, you know, pretty much what's at the core of this point is that all this stuff is subjective, and I don't even think people can generally reach a consensus on what they hate about the prequels so much and why they've gotten this bad rap.
Yeah, I guess, like, in my mind, like even though like, in world, of course, a lot of time takes place between episode 1 and 2, and less time takes place between episode 2 and 3. And I feel like, in my mind, that kind of, like, transitions to the, like, real world. Like, episode 1 just kind of, while it is a prequel, it also is, like, older and, like, more akin to the sequels than, like, episode 2 and 3, which are, like, genuinely new era, like, lots of CGI, and I don't know, they just, like, felt like newer, you know, like, it felt newer, like, newer humor, newer, like, characters, newer styles. Yeah, that's my bit, I guess. But yeah, I think episode 1 is my favorite, and I completely understand, like, for the bits that I've already mentioned, why it might not be their favorite, or their least favorite even.
Yeah, but, like, I remember, like, talking to, like, I think it was our mom's students, like, years later, and we were talking about Star Wars, and I realized that they didn't like the prequels, and that was, like, news to me. Like, I didn't know people misliked them.
Yeah.
I remember reading an article that was titled right before Revenge of the Sith came out. There was an article titled "The Return Sigh of Jar Jar Binks," and it was like, what's wrong with Jar Jar Binks? And people had to tell me. It's like, I even think I asked somebody, and they told me, "Oh yeah, George Lucas doesn't like Jar Jar Binks," which was wrong. George Lucas, like, loves Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah, favorite, like, character, supposedly.
But that just means that even the guy I asked didn't understand.
Yeah,
And it's just like, yeah, like, over time it sort of came out that there were a lot of dissenters that didn't like the prequels, and somehow that's become the prevailing consensus over time. And I think actually a lot of that is due to the Red Letter Media Star Wars videos. Have you seen those?
No.
That's like early YouTube. Like, they're hours long, but they're divided into several, like, 20-minute videos, because that was in time where you could only upload, like, 20-minute videos.
Huh.
But I think it really did sort of kickstart this big bandwagon about hating on the prequels. And I do think those videos are funny. Mr. Plinkett's reviews. You know, the guy that talks like this. You haven't seen those?
That sounds familiar.
He used to do a lot of those. Now those guys just review movies in their regular voice.
So they're still around.
Yeah, Red Letter Media. Yeah, people love them still. Half in the Bag, their movie review. And I don't get it. I mean, I thought the Mr. Plinkett's videos were funny. The Half in the Bag and stuff is just people talking about movies in a not really necessarily funny way, just them talking.
Yeah,
and they'll say things like that Jurassic World, the first Jurassic World, was better than the original Jurassic Park. And that makes me think, like, why do you guys trust these guys to be, like, the last word on any movie? Not that one opinion should invalidate another. I'm just saying, you know, no one's the last word on if a movie's good or not.
Yeah, but I mean, like, dang, to just, like, so objectively claim that it's better than the originals, like, I mean, I personally prefer, like, the Star Wars prequels to the original. But, like, just claiming outright that they're better is, like,
Yeah.
That's bold.
And just to like sort of balance out our movie karma here, I don't think anything comes close to the original Jurassic Park. Not just in the Jurassic Park series, but most other movies. That's one of my favorites. And I liked the first Jurassic World. I thought it was fine, but like I don't understand what people are seeing in it to even tout it above like Jurassic Park 3.
Yeah.
Like I enjoyed Jurassic Park 3 more than I enjoyed World.
Yeah, see, it's funny, like, Jurassic Park, I mean, we've probably talked about this before. Jurassic Park 3 is, like, I think my favorite. The first one, of
really,
course,
even more than the first one?
Yeah.
Wow.
The first one, of course, is the classic, but I feel, oddly enough, I feel like the majority of, like, neurons in my brain that just remember, like, clips of the movie is from the second movie.
Yeah.
Like, the arm on the, like, the steering wheel, like, the RV going over the cliff, just like, all that stuff.
That's Jurassic Park 2.
That's what I mean, the second one.
Oh, okay. And you're saying that's not your
No, well, it's not my favorite, but it's like the one that I remember the most from.
Yeah.
Like little like, oh, and that, and that, and that.
And I think a lot of this stuff can be chalked up to age, just like what impressionable age were you at when you saw whichever film, didn't matter. You were just going to be into it. But, you know, the Red Letter Media guys were like adults during the prequels, so I don't understand. They weren't like at a formative age when Jurassic World came out.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
it really is, in my opinion. Well, I guess I think 3 is better than 2. I was going to say Jurassic movies have only gone downhill since the first one, but I might put 3 above 2.
I think I would.
Well, you just said it was your favorite.
I know, but I mean, like, conflicting opinions there, where I also think the first one's the most classic, and the second one is, like, the most memorable.
Fun for you. Yeah, I like the third one. If people pick on it, so there's another thing with these hate on these movies. They pick on the worst moment in a movie, and like for Attack of the Clones, it's like when Anakin's talking to Amidala, and he's like, "Oh, I hate sand. It's rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere." People mention that every freaking time you're talking about the prequels. Like, it's just become that thing. And for Jurassic Park 3, it's the raptor in his dream going, "Alan!" And, like, it actually, like, its mouth forms the words. And people think it's a really funny moment. And it is.
Yeah.
That one's bad. But it's a dream, so who cares?
Yeah.
The sand one, though, really pisses me off because, like, yeah, he hates sand. He grew up on Tatooine. Like, his life was nothing but sand in every single part of his body. So, if anything, that's an understated character moment.
Yeah, seriously.
I think.
I mean, the way it was acted out, like, I mean, no hate to...
None of the actors in any of these movies are ever bad. If at worst, they're working with shit material, but they're never bad. Even in the Jurassic Park sequels.
Yeah.
But, yeah, like, people just hated on it because it's like, this is such cringe. This is what George Lucas thinks is romantic talk between two people. And, you know, I don't know what Jurassic Lucas thought of he was writing, but I can, even now, I can be like, yeah, well, again, it was him holding back his hatred of sand. And also, what's dialogue between this, like, angsty teen and this, like, both sexually repressed, like, one a monk, a teenage monk, and the other a teenage politician? Like, what's that supposed to sound like? Of course, it would be kind of cringy and weird.
Yeah, and no, exactly. That's, like, what most people forget is, like, it's kind of actually good acting. Like, it sounds bad, but that's because that's how someone would...
Yeah, and I don't know if George Lucas wrote it that way, but I think it feels natural in that situation. So, again, I didn't understand the initial hate, and it's just become this punchline. You know, it's like when sexist people are like, whatever, bitch, go make me a sandwich. It's like become the one joke that people always tell about it, you know?
Yeah.
You ever encountered that? Like, people who are trying to be sexist, that really is just, like, the one joke they have.
Yeah. Get back of the kitchen. What are those two?
And I want to say, oh, but people who don't like the prequels aren't as bad as sexists. But the people... No, really. The people who attacked young... I think his name... Not Christopher Lloyd. Jake Lloyd, who played young Anakin, and the people who attacked Ahmed Best for playing Jar Jar Binks, those people really are scum. equivalent to sexists and misogynists. If you have ever attacked an actor for a role they played, no matter how bad it was, you're scum.
Yeah, like, you don't understand how the world works.
And even in the new movies, and we'll get to the new movies, but they attacked all the actors in that, especially poor Kelly Mary Tran. If you've ever attacked an actor for a role they've had, you really are just like such scum.
Yeah.
And that's got nothing to do with like my love of Star Wars and those movies or any subjective opinion. That's just basic human morality, like and or logic. Like obviously he's not the same as the character. You fuck.
Yeah, like no, there's just a severe like misunderstanding about how the world works.
Or just you're just unbelievable moron.
Yeah.
And those kind of people are truly incomprehensible. But anyway,
speaking of incomprehensible morons, the sequel trilogy.
Talking like I'm not here.
Trilogy.
No. Right. Where was I with like the basic story? You see now, time has passed. I can't remember where I was. Yeah, the prequels came out, and I loved them, and I loved all the spectacle of it and everything, and I even loved all like. You know, another big part of Star Wars is like the merchandise. You know, who knows if it would have been the same thing at all, if at all, if they hadn't sold all those toys and stuff in the 80s and 70s.
Yeah, well, even later on, like in our era.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is like there was so much to enjoy as a child from the prequels. There were so many video games, so many toys, so many Legos.
Oh yeah, like the fucking like both Lego Star Wars. Like video games.
Those are still fun. We even played for a while we played all the other Lego games like Lego Indiana Jones and Lego Batman.
Yeah, I mean Lego Star Wars. I mean that was the actual first like Lego game. Right?
Yeah, the first. And there's actually a new Lego Star Wars that's completely different.
I think I've seen some gameplay of it. It looks like Lego Star Wars.
Listen, I fell off of the Lego games, and actually I played one later than you because I played Lego Marvel.
Yeah, I was gonna say, didn't you play Lego Marvel?
And
that one had voices in it.
Yeah, see, that's exactly what I was gonna say. Is like once they stopped using pantomime, it got way less funny.
Exactly. It's like once they're just like having conversations with each other, it loses its charm. It loses its like, I don't know. It's so much comical.
Yeah, well, it's also, like, who knows if that was even an artistic choice, because audio files take up so much space. Maybe they just wanted to save disk space.
Maybe.
I mean, there are plenty of other sounds. They were, like, iconic Lego sounds in those games that I think a lot of people just associate with Lego now. Yeah.
The sound of the mini kit picking up.
The mini kit, or just, like, Lego R2 falling apart. Well, that's just R2, but like you got the little brick sound of the bricks falling apart.
Oh yeah.
Or Yoda's death. That's a meme.
Yeah. Yeah, like even not the video games, but just Star Wars Legos in general. Like I had so many sets. Like I can't remember the name of it, but it was the red ship in the Phantom Menace that they like.
Yeah, the Republic Cruiser or something. It's probably got a proper name. But this will segue into another important point.
Oh yeah, but well, I'm still thinking of it. The big red ship from the Phantom Menace. I had like a Lego set of it, and that's like one of the bigger Lego sets I have.
It's huge.
It's definitely the biggest Star Wars Lego set.
The little pod underneath is the like front of the ship is as big as a baseball.
Yeah, no, it's huge. Shields up!
Yeah. Yeah, I saw a video that's everything great about the Star Wars prequels, and it on that scene it said, people give the prequels shit for just using a bunch of CGI, but this is a practical effect, and there's a lot of practical effects in these movies.
Yeah.
That's like what you said, it's still kind of...
Exactly, it's like
something
kind of old school, yeah.
So they did use a lot of CGI, which probably hasn't aged the best in the Phantom Menace, but it looked good at the time, and it still got a lot of practical effects.
Yeah.
I am glad they switched out creepy young puppet Yoda that didn't look right with
Yeah,
CGI Yoda. He looks much better.
I think that was better. I mean, like, yeah, he had to be like, despite the fact that he was like, you know, his species, like between like the prequels and the sequels, he didn't really actually age that much. He was a little bit younger, so he had. To
Yeah,
be a
well,
little
what is like 20, 40 years to an 800-year-old elf?
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, I guess he did die, so he was close enough to be like that old.
He was still old.
Yeah. Either way,
Again,
he
this was like the 99th percentile of his life, the last one.
Yeah. The golden years.
But this segues into another important point about that I'm going to bring up about the sequels is that there's no new Lego sets because, like, what would you make the Lego sets out of? There's no new shit in the new movies. It's all the old shit again, which is not much.
Like I looked at the Lego sets, and like all of them are from like the other the other Star Wars stories. Like there's I think it's called the Marauder from the Bad Batch, the extension of the Clone Wars, and they have like the one from frickin'
The Mandalorian.
The Mandalorian. I wish they had the one from the Boba. I think it was from Boba Fett, where it's like a Naboo cruiser, but it's like all chromed out.
Yeah, they're starting to borrow stuff from the prequels because they realize that there's just not enough.
I know, like
they're probably just running out of things to like call back to. Really,
yeah.
But...
I know. I mean, of all the things to call back to, that was like I didn't mind that.
Yeah,
those ships are so cool, and they like are nowhere else in like the galaxy.
Which is another just like really great thing about the prequels is just like the design elements, and there's just cooler shit in them. It's more of a sci-fi stuff world with like stuff.
Yeah, like you don't see any fucking droidicas in like the sequels.
Yeah, the droidicas also were, aside from the fact, are fucking awesome. The sound effects in the prequels, because you can hear those droidica coming in like your memories, just like
yeah,
like it's everything has such a distinct sound signature, and I think it's the same guy working on the original trilogy and the prequels, making all the iconic sound effects.
Oh,
and there's really, again, nothing new in the new trilogy. I think, like, Kylo Ren's lightsaber sounds cool.
Yeah. I remember that was, like, the thing that everyone was, like, salty about when they finally, like, released, like, trailers for The Force Awakens. It's like, what's up with that lightsaber? Why is it cross-shaped? Why does it have, like, a cross guard?
And that's like one of the new cool things.
Yeah, like
now,
like
because just nothing else was
exactly like. I mean, at the time, yeah, like it was kind of weird, like, but you're gonna just switch up like how a lightsaber works entirely. But yeah, like now it's like, yeah, one of the kind of cooler, like one of the few iconic things about it.
Yeah, and we'll get into the sequels. I guess we should do a brief like intermission here for the Clone Wars stuff and just like everything that came in between those, because it was like 30 or 20 years between the original trilogy and the prequels, and they had the special editions in there.
Yeah,
and then it was only like I think the Revenge of the Sith came out in 2005, and I'm pretty sure Force Awakens was 2015, so only 10 years between those two. So it was a quick turnaround, even though that whole time as a Star Wars fan I was begging for more.
I know, like that felt like eternity, because that was like my childhood. Like that was when I was going to like middle and high school. So
it was a long 10 years
forever.
of our formative lives.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. Like that whole time, like the thought of like having more new Star Wars content was like a dream come true.
Yeah, and because George Lucas was like, no, I'm not making more. This was the whole thing I had planned.
Yeah, like books shut.
Yeah. I will mention another cool thing. Like, a lot of people give George Lucas shit because he kind of seemed to rewrite the script last minute, which I guess is shitty. But he was trying this new, I guess new to him, like he was trying this different film technique where he basically had like the story outlined in his head, or pretty much since the original trilogy, so he says.
Uh-huh.
But what he did before he even had the script written is he just got a bunch of concept artists together to basically do a general storyboard and just paint the look of the films, like all the ships and the aliens and the different characters.
Yeah, I think I remember that. And then he just kind of like picked.
Yeah, and he went through and like this army of concept artists probably had them all displayed out in a row, and he was just like, "We're using that one, we're using that one," and that's why I think all the design elements look so good. And maybe, as others say, the actual script and the specifics of the story kind of fall.
Yeah.
Even though I think it's all there. But
yeah, no, you can tell there's like a different like directing like mechanic or like style going on there.
I'd love to see something like that attempted again, but with, you know, not writing the script last minute. Because something like Mad Max Fury Road, another movie we talk a lot about on here, they say like a lot of the heavy lifting in that movie was done by the storyboard artists. So like there's something to that strategy. It's just like why this movie that's nothing but 100% action turned out so good is because the storyboard artists were just like leading the whole project and allowed to, you know, fucking work, man.
Yeah, and like I mean, it's so much easier to just like try and well, first of all, it's so much easier to just like make something on paper than from like scratch. And second of all, it's a lot easier for the costume artists to just like try and make something that looks like a picture, you know.
Yeah,
if the costume artist is just trying to like make a look from scratch, then they're just gonna like go to like the fabric store and like I don't know, like no hate to the costume artists, but like I think it's better when like they.
Well, yeah, everybody works better off like a concrete example.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and
I think
even the artists, like the original artists, like probably work from some kind of like base image or whatnot.
Yeah, but I think for a visual medium like movies, which, you know, it's a visual medium first, a sort of storytelling platform, I think kind of second, you really want to have those concrete visuals.
Yeah, exactly.
Primarily. Not that a bad script would ever hurt.
Yeah.
It's just like, you know, you can only gain from a good story, but I think movies can win on visuals alone.
Yeah, I mean, well, I guess it's kind of the opposite, in a sense, but it's sort of like just video quality in general. You know how like if there's bad audio, like it's unbearable.
Like this, like this audio.
Yeah, exactly. It's unbearable. But if there's like good audio and crappy video, it's like you can manage. You know, like if you can make out what's happening, like it's okay.
It's something you notice immediately, and you got your audio. Primarily is like the first thing you notice if it's bad. Visuals secondary, then third is your story telling. The organ that you use to perceive story.
See, I mean, everyone knows that there's more than five senses. You know, like balance and temperature and story quality.
And then there's your mise en scène sense.
Feng shui sense.
Yeah, your 180-degree rule sense.
Yeah, but
and your chakras. So like in between the prequels and the sequel trilogy, all we got were just the Clone Wars, which I didn't really enjoy, but I guess I didn't get far enough into. You saw the whole thing.
Yeah, I saw the whole thing. I liked it, and I've seen. I think I'm all caught up on the Bad Batch. Unless there might be one more season that I haven't seen of it, but I've seen the first 2 seasons, so.
Bad Batch still good?
Yeah, it is, and it's still like the stuff that's happening in it is still like significant story wise, I guess. I mean, spoiler alert. Is that okay for you? Spoiler alert wise?
Yeah. I mean, there's so many things I need to catch up on. I'm
okay.
sure I'll forget anyway.
Yeah, honestly. So it like follows like, you know, the Bad Batch obviously of like failed clones. They were in the end of the Clone Wars. That's where they debuted, and they just kind of continue afterwards. They don't like get caught up in Order 66 because they were like failures, so to speak, to begin with.
Because they were a bad
batch. Exactly.
Bad influences.
Yeah. And anyway, but like they answer some story questions, like what happened to Kamino? You know, like how did they transition away from clones? like that's like discussed, but like they show it. They yeah, like they introduce a character who basically like drives to like switch away from clones, and he like destroys all of Camino, basically like the entire planet, and like extinguishes the Kaminoan race.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and so there's that.
I never liked those pencil necks.
Well, it explains why they're not in the sequels, though. You see,
Those are better lingering questions than like, where did Han Solo get his golden dice?
yeah,
Or,
exactly.
or his name?
Yeah. Anyway, but then like it turns out that like this comes to light, and he goes down for it, but like it supposedly like it is all going to like Chancellor Palpatine's plans, and it helps him transition away. Like, oh, this is like the very reason we need like a new conscript army, and you know it goes along with that, and then like it continues like that's like a lot of the first season I think of the Bad Batch, and then in the second season it's like they're like exploring more cloning technology, and so they actually have to like go and find like a couple of the last remaining Kaminoans, one of which is like the head scientist, of course. But anyway,
Jedi Master Cypher Diaz.
Yeah.
We are on schedule.
Man, I love that part. Shit, what was I saying? I got sidetracked.
You were just describing like they had to track down the main scientist.
Yeah, the main scientist. Anyway, so they haven't like said specifically yet, but I'm pretty sure that this cloning research is the Emperor, right? You know, like trying to make a clone for
Yeah,
him.
that'll lead into that.
Yeah.
Another good question.
Exactly,
That they just
like-
let linger.
Like, so that's why I think it's like good, because there was another thing that they well, I mean, they like what happened to the clones in general, like what happened to Commander Cody and Captain Rex, because they're in it, and like that they show what happens to them. Yeah, so some big questions answered, some pretty quality stuff. Like it's a lot of the same, very episodic, like Clone Wars stuff. Like I saw a meme recently where it was like every single like intro to the Clone Wars, and it's just like the guy's voice when doing the intros, where it's like, last time on the Clone Wars, the clones fucked up, and now the Jedi have to come save them on this planet, but they crash landed. And it's like, yeah, it boils down to that kind of stuff when it's like so episodic, but it's a lot of the same, and in a good way, I think. Like, I like it, it's charming, it's still kind of like targeted towards a younger audience in a sense, but it's good. I like it at the end of the day.
That was good.
I know that was a long rant on my part.
No, we would have gotten into it eventually, but yeah. Then so to continue with the story, our experience through Star Wars, the Disney buyout happened, and as much because since George Lucas wasn't going to make any more films, I was like half excited because like yay, more Star Wars. But even before this whole thing with Disney and Star Wars, Disney had a reputation, like a sociological like term called Disneyfication. Not Disney Vacation, which is like a subreddit, but Disneyfication. It's just like it already had a reputation of buying something, taking something, and just sanding off all its edges, appropriating it for merchandise and easy consumption for the whole family, for everybody, just making it as broadly appealing as possible. I'm sure it's basically what happens with every culture whenever they get their own Disney movie. Moana comes out, and suddenly Polynesian like life and culture is like this merchandisable, digestible thing kids want to be.
I guess it's like still a current thing apparently, that like there's this one town in like Sweden, I think, where like tourists are going just because it's like was the inspiration for the town Frozen. And I guess that's like it's causing a problem there because it's just flooded with tourists. But like,
of course.
Yeah.
But that's what we're talking about. Just like when Disney bought it, it was still kind of like a cautious optimism.
yeah.
I would say, and
I mean, I knew a Galaxy's Edge was in the future. You know, like
of course,
a Disneyland attraction.
I mean, well, that's just it. I think everything that's come out from it is just really exactly what you think would happen when Disney bought Star Wars.
yeah.
Like the first movie came out, and it was fine, and everybody thought it was fine. Like I don't know, movie critic. Okay, there were a few movie critics that were definitely like, "This is the Star Wars sequel that I wanted for 30, 50 years." But most critics, I think, were like, "Yeah, it was good. It was like a good retreading of A New Hope." Which it really was. It's really trying to be New Hope so hard.
It's a Death Star. It's a Star Killer base, and like, I mean, that especially, and a lot of The Force Awakens was like, yeah, sure, like what I would do if like when I was a kid, like if I was like allowed to make a new Star Wars movie, that's probably what I would do. You know, like something happens with like the original characters, and like there's a bad Jedi that becomes a new like Sith, and there's a even bigger Death Star that's more destructive somehow.
Yeah, we were talking about unanswered questions. It's just like, why the fuck is this one lingering part of the Empire so powerful and I guess richer?
Yeah.
So they don't build a Death Star; they just carve out a whole planet into a gun.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it doesn't make any sense. You can't just do that. You do need some explanation, especially if your world's already established.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever.
And that was like, yeah, you kind of have to take it with a grain of salt. And if you do, that one's not so bad. Episode 7 isn't that bad, but
no, it's fine. And I think mostly I just saw the potential in it. It's just like, good. There's bones here to really build out into something unique and cool and different.
It was sort of like okay, I'm excited to see where this goes.
Yeah, which is the way I feel about a lot of movies I see nowadays.
Yeah,
it's just like, no, that was it. That was the thing we were building towards.
Yeah,
it's like,
okay. But which is exactly my emotion with episode 8.
Yeah, episode 8 is actually my favorite of the new ones.
Really?
Well, it's tied with Rogue One, but I think it was the one that went different just enough to be entertaining.
Yeah.
And then 7 and 9 are both like trying so hard to be just callbacks to the original trilogy, which is the problem with the whole sequel trilogy on its own. It's like, oh, the prequels are too different, so now we need something that's almost exactly the same except lesser. 'Cause how could it be more of the same but better?
Exactly. Impossible. Yeah. And I mean, another thing that I should mention is that I've seen, the prequels and the original trilogy like dozens of times, compared to, I'm pretty sure, of like the sequels.
Oh, I was gonna say, like, I saw The Force Awakens twice, and the second time I saw it, I looked around at the theater and there were like people that were asleep. I saw someone that was asleep in the audience, and I'm like, yeah, kind of feeling that. But yeah, you said you saw them all dozens of times.
The original, or the prequels and the original trilogy. But, like, yeah, the sequels, like, episode 7, 8, 9, I've seen one time each.
And it's enough.
Yeah.
There's not, like, a whole lot of detail you're going to miss anyway. They're really straightforward.
But, like, I think that maybe if I were to watch them, even if I had to force myself, which I didn't have to with the prequels and the original trilogy, but if I did, then maybe I would find myself hating them less.
Yeah. And, there was those two movies that weren't like numbered. There was Rogue One, which again is probably tied with my favorite of the new ones, and there was Solo.
Which personally I think it's a bad rap. Like, it's definitely one of the worst of all of them, if not the worst. But like,
I'd say it's the worst Star Wars film, but a fine space heist movie.
Yeah, like it felt like a. What I hate about it is that it just like ruined like Star Wars spin-off movies.
Yeah.
Like Kenobi was supposed to be a movie, and I kind of wish it was.
Yeah, and just like why did Hans Dice and his name need an origin, and his blaster? Why did all these things need an origin? Like, couldn't that just be his name and a blaster he found that he liked, and this stupid pair of dice that was just barely noticeable set dressing in the original trilogy?
Yeah.
Like, does
Also,
it need to be important?
I kind of forget.
Like Han Solo. Like, are you kidding me?
You're like,
it's
oh,
a
I
bad
don't have
joke.
a last name. Like, oh, I guess you're traveling by yourself.
That had to be like an executive footnote. Like, no one with half a creative brain would have been like, oh, this is a good idea.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, God damn it. And man,
like the whole point, or half the point of like the Star Wars is kind of corny names, you know. Darth Maul, Darth Vader,
which
like,
is just like Dark Father,
Luke
in German.
Skywalker. Like, come on.
Yeah, like, did they need like an origin name? It's like, oh, because my people used to walk among the clouds.
Yeah, like, no.
That's definitely something they probably have done. I don't know.
Yeah, honestly.
Because there's so much content, I'm sure they've explained it.
Yeah, but like,
but it's hard not to peek behind the scenes.
also at the end of
with this new stuff.
Well, a couple of things talking about Solo still. First of all, at the end, it was the Darth Maul teaser, right?
That was the most surreal moment I think I've ever had.
That turned that entire movie into a fever dream.
Yeah, I remember turning to our friend Lucas and just being like, "It's a dream, dude. It's a fucking dream." Because I wasn't necessarily like, I liked the film. I was having a fine time at the movies, and then that happened, and I'm just like. Because it's like the first time the Disney movies ever addressed the prequels at all. And they're setting up Darth Maul as like the big villain for this like origin story. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I was so taken aback.
No, that was so bewilderingly. Until this day, they haven't like fucking...
Yeah, because it didn't do well and no one liked it.
I wish, like...
It's just like...
Yeah, it's
it
really
could
a
have been...
shame.
Well, the thing is...
The other thing I was going to say about Solo is, I can't quite remember, did they touch on Chewbacca?
Yeah, he was like imprisoned.
Yeah, okay, I figured.
That's
the kind of stuff that I would like, that people cared about. You know, like where did the Millennium Falcon come from? How'd they meet Chewbacca?
Yeah, he was a prisoner because. Yeah, that's right. Han was part of the Empire. He was fighting for the Empire, and he like was insubordinate, and they threw him in with Chewbacca, thinking he'd eat him.
Is that what happened?
Yeah, and he starts speaking to him in Wookiee, and it's just like. Wow, really would have liked to see how the hell he learned Wookiee.
Yeah, like...
Especially when the other Imperial soldiers thought Wookiees just ate people. I don't know, maybe they did. And also, man, Han fighting for the Empire, that could have been a whole movie.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
A really interesting whole movie, or Disney Plus show.
Yeah, just like...
If you're really fishing.
Oh, God. Don't give me any ideas.
Yeah, probably not.
They have so many employees just finding, like... new IPs and like new content potential. They'll probably have someone watching this podcast just like, okay, Disney executives, these guys have a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, I want to be like, no one's watching the podcast, but it's just like they're really looking anywhere for new ideas. So
like,
high
FBI agents ain't got nothing on Disney.
if you see this,
yeah, really.
yeah, the NRA or is it the NRA?
No, it's NSA.
NSA. God, I'm stupid.
National
But
Rifle.
yeah, so Solo was fine. It could have been better, and for whatever reason, Rogue One was a lot better, especially like the third act of Rogue One, which just went so freaking hard.
Yeah.
It didn't have to, but boy did it. But it's just hard not to peek behind the scenes with these things. It's just like, oh, all the numbered movies that really feel like, or at least 7 and 9 really feel like a movie made by committee. It's just like you can tell Disney was very careful, and they were asking all the fans and all the people and all the directors, just like, how do we make this like
easy like they
to
took
swallow?
like a poll on each scene, like how should this scene play out?
Yeah,
like
and it doesn't really have a direction other than just be Star Wars, which is broad.
Yeah,
and
that's what it stands for.
Yeah, it's just like, and then because sorry, I'll get to my point eventually, I swear. Abrams directed the first one, and then I don't know, he's got a really generic name. It's like Johnson something. The guy who does Knives Out. He directed the 8th one, and just like I think derailed the whole story that Abrams and these executives have set up.
Yeah, which is that's your favorite one.
Yeah, again, because it just it derails it. It goes way off the beaten path,
Yeah, like,
and I
why-
like that, even though there's some pretty shit moments even in that one.
They should have just given that guy another spin-off, you know, like let him write like fucking the Chewbacca movie. And...
I think they were going to before 8 kind of got like a bad rap.
Oh really?
Yeah, but you can tell because in 9 it just like snaps back to all these things they were setting up in 7.
Yeah, no, it's
That
just
they
like
didn't
wait,
do
like
anything
what,
with.
like what? It's like
So it's
talk
just-
about Whiplash, you know, just like wait.
Yeah, it's so
Was
much
there a
like
movie
I
in
can
there?
really see the thinking of the people behind the camera, which isn't great. It's just like so much reaction
Yeah.
more than action. But yeah, I like 8. I thought like the part where she like hyper jets into the other ships was cool.
Yeah, I mean that was like best.
I
one of the
liked-
best parts of the whole sequels.
Yeah, I think so. Geez, is that really it that I liked about? I don't know. There were several scenes that I enjoyed.
I mean, I like Finn. Is the name right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Finn,
that's-
see, the thing is, Finn is great in 7. You really feel like, oh, this is a character that's like new, and I feel like I can get behind him. And then in 8, he has a side mission, but at least it's something. In 9, he's just kind of there.
Yeah,
He's like,
exactly.
He's the token black guy in the 9th one, which
Yeah,
is really a
he's
shame.
like
I
the
thought this
main-
plot was going somewhere.
Exactly. He was like the main character in the first one, and then he just like turned into like a member of the team and not even like a major one.
Yeah, and all the actors are like that too. Like Kelly Mary Tran and Oscar Isaac. They like in interviews you can tell there's like, yeah, I had an idea of where my character was going and was like trying to get him to move in this direction, but I guess not. It's like, what a shame.
Yeah.
If they had listened to anyone else on on staff, maybe it could have been a little better. But
This-
again, I like 9. There are some really great moments in that, like Rey and Kylo switching back and
And
forth.
kissing? Yeah, no, not that part.
You can tell they were trying to make that the plot, but I just don't think it was earned. I like I get Palpatine's cool, I guess. Like he shoots lightning and like electrocutes the entire like battle fleet. Like that's cool.
Yeah, and the way his like thing like just came down from the ceiling and was this giant like chair just like or like thing
Yeah.
that he's hanging from keeping him alive. Like that looked really cool.
Yeah,
That was
you,
awesome.
you can tell anything different that they tried to do was like where it was good. I liked. I honestly, yeah, the kissing's awkward, but I thought Kylo Ren's whole story arc was pretty good. I mean, freaking
Yeah, I mean,
Adam
fair enough.
Adam Driver carried that whole series on his back.
Yeah,
And
I mean, it still took me out of it though.
yeah, it did.
Like there was definitely a better time for that if they really wanted to put that in there.
I do like the part where he's like breaking into the Sith temple and he like jumps down on this giant chain, but it's a little too far. And he's like, "Ow!" It's just like, yeah, it's just like a little moment of brevity, and I enjoyed that. And I enjoyed there was another one, or I guess there wasn't. I'm reaching here. There's plenty I didn't
Yeah.
like. I didn't like
I didn't like the fucking fleet of like ghost star destroyers that were like.
poor Daisy Ridley. Just never got quite enough. I honestly felt like her fighting with Luke Skywalker in the 8th one was another really good emotional moment, and I wanted more of that. And I liked General Hux, Donald Gleason's character, the redheaded guy,
Yeah, who like eventually like
betrays him just because he hates Kylo Ren that much, and then they
Yeah.
just shoot him because he's a total obvious traitor because he's a dork. And I liked that. I thought his story had perfect.
it
beats.
was unceremonious, but like
That's the
not.
point.
Yeah, exactly. It
He's-
wasn't in like a non.
I've
like,
caught the traitor. Inform Lord Sidious. I've caught the traitor. It's just like, yeah, he was kind of obvious.
Yeah. Oh, and remember when fucking what's his name was supposed to be a thing? That they killed off into like the big bad
Yeah, Snoke.
Snook.
That was part I didn't like about the 8th movie, is because they kind of built him up and then he just dies and it was like, what the fuck? And then I think they just kind of retroactively like, oh, he was a failed clone of the Emperor, I guess.
Yeah.
It's just like, fine. It
is-
did help Kylo Ren's story, and I love that fight scene in the throne room.
That's
with the red
true.
Guys.
It
That
was
fun.
cool.
But it like, and it was also so obvious. Like he's like saying like, "Oh, I can feel him. He's turning his lightsaber on the true enemy." Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Just like, oh my god, writing,
Yeah.
subtlety.
Yeah. No.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
God, that was so weird.
I honestly had forgotten about that part until like.
I know, right? And it's just like all the like 7 again just being fine, but then the 8 and 9 are just like so much of this. Oh, that was cool, but God, really with this? And it's just like back to back, and it's almost exhausting.
Which one had the one where they like freed like a bunch of like either slaves or like captured animals or something, and it was like a casino planet or something?
That's the side mission in 8. That's what Finn goes to do with Kelly Mary Tran.
Yeah, like again, just like I mean, that was like I guess fun, but like it was.
I like the casino planet just because it is that goofy.
Yeah, and that's I feel like that's something that would happen in like.
I know people hated it because it felt prequely, but it's just like.
I
It's a
don't know,
puppet show for kids. It always has been. So you need goofy alien shit.
Also, I feel like that's, I don't know. I feel like I don't feel like that's not prequel. I feel like if anything, that's like more to the original. Like that's totally like something that would go in line with like the Mos Eisley Cantina and
exactly
like,
people
and like Jabba's like palace. Like it fits. It fits.
Or the diner in Attack of the Clones with Dex Jetster. It's just a 50s diner on Coruscant. People hate that because like, oh, it's an Earth thing, but it's with aliens. It's just like, dude, that's the cantina and just like all this shit. That's what Star Wars has been the whole time. Why are you mad?
God, yeah, like aliens still gotta eat, bro.
Yeah, but the main problem with the sequels is that there's just nothing new. There's, like we said, there's barely any Legos to build because like there's not a whole lot of new ships and stuff and sci-fi elements. They're just kind of there in the background sometimes, like. Oh, that big V-shaped shuttle that Kylo Ren uses, that's kind of cool. These big gorilla Imperial walkers, they kind of just look like Imperial walkers, but they're cool. And you blink and you miss it, that big Death Star cannon they're dragging at the end of 8 is being towed by these really cool, like, spider-wheeled things. It's just like, can I get, like, a close-up on that? Or a fight scene involving it? That looks cool. But no, instead they focus on these like sand gliders that I don't even think ever fire a shot. They're just kind of there to move around.
They fly now?
That scene, yeah, that basically.
I can't believe we've gone this far talking about the sequels without even mentioning that.
They fly now. They fly now. They fly out. Yeah, it's just like, it's doing a poor job of forcing in the Marvel humor.
Yeah, it felt so Marvel humor.
And after watching, did you see Thor: Love and Thunder?
Did I? No, I didn't.
The one with the screaming goats, because boy, that's another big red flag of like, this is how far the Marvel humor will get you before it overstays its welcome.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh God. Yeah, that was bad.
That's what.
Even like I'm sure I've talked about this before, and even probably on the podcast. But that one joke you could have made like decent, like have them say it twice, and then maybe the third guy's like Finn's like, yeah, they've had jetpacks for a while now.
Yeah, jet troopers.
Yeah, like that's a thing.
These exist in the world. Why is a jetpack the weirdest thing you've seen?
Exactly, like this is Star Wars, bro.
Unbelievable. And another thing that people have pointed out, it's just like there's a moment where C-3PO is like, because I like the part where he's like, it doesn't make sense, but he's like, oh, if you reset me and I read Sith, which I was programmed not to by, I guess, Anakin. All right. He's like, I'm just taking. I might die, so I'm going to take one last look at my friends. And he's like looking at, Rey and Poe and Finn. And she's like, really? I feel like they've been nothing but annoyed with you this whole time.
Yeah.
It's like Anakin and Luke treated C-3PO like a person, and like every other character has treated him like a nuisance.
Yeah, honestly, like
it's like there's so many moments that just aren't earned. It's just like they wanted it to be this, but it's not quite that.
Yeah, like, and that could have been a funny part, It's just like C-3PO is just like, oh, I guess I'll reset myself now.
It's like, shut up, C-3PO. Just get on with it. It's like, okay.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, that's right.
That's mean, but it would have been funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's not that many new ships. They bring the same, it's not Brad Bird, but it's another guy with the last name Bird who does all the cool sound effects. They brought him back, they bring back John Williams, and then they just don't use them. They do the same stuff they did for the original trilogy. And I can't, as a creator, I just can't feel like they wanted to do that. They probably wanted to continue doing their thing and exploring new sounds and music.
I mean, yeah, that's what they want to do, right?
Yeah, like who wants to keep retreading the same shit other than the Disney executives that are telling everyone to do that?
I know. Like, it's the same with music, right? Like, I get, like, sometimes artists, like, hit that, like, just lightning strikes on that one album where the sound is just, like, excellent and there's all those good hits, and they can never, like, make lightning hit strike twice, but, like, just, like, telling them, like, hey, make another song like this. Like, that's not how music works, you know? Like,
yeah.
and it's
like,
similar.
are you even going to be happy if it's anything but the exact example
exactly.
you gave? Like,
exactly. It's like, it will never be the same, and you want it to be, like, as close to the same without it being the same.
or just, you know, I'm always advocating just let the artists do their thing. You hired them. Let them work.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't tell them what to do. Hire an artist and say, I want something that fits in here, and then they'll just do art. I don't know. I've never worked on a movie set. I'm sure it's complicated, but they've done amazing things before, and this wasn't it. So
Yeah.
there's
Well,
some
see, that's-
magic like element they're missing.
That's the thing, is that it's not happening on the set. It's happening in freaking boardrooms and stuff, like council meetings.
And it comes through. Like,
Yeah.
people didn't like the movies. People really hate 9. I think they still hate 8 more, but it's just, again, just this kind of jumbled mess.
Yeah.
God, do I know anyone that sung the praises of all 3 movies? I think they still mostly praise 7, which is probably my least favorite of the 3, because it's just so samey.
Yeah.
I think the humor was the best in 7. You know, listen up, big deal. You got a problem. The women always know when you're lying.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. It felt better. So there's, you know, this is all to say there's good elements, there's bad elements. There's still like my least favorite trilogy of the 3
Uh-huh.
because of what it does. Oh, the planets. The planets is a big sticking point with me because the
Tatooine again.
yeah, they're all desert planets first of all. And in the original trilogy, you had Tatooine, the desert planet, like the artificial planet in the Death Star.
And Coruscant, the other.
Yeah, and then,
Well,
you know, Yavin 4 was jungle, but they just kind of filmed the Mexican pyramids and
yeah.
didn't do much on that planet. But that's fine because they never even tried to do jungle again because they're like, no, Yavin 4 was when we did jungle, so now the rest of these have to be different. And in the prequels, they went a little larger because they were like out of biomes to use. They used
yeah.
swamp and forest and ice. So now they're doing like crystal and yeah, Geonosis is a bad one, but I guess it's like a red sand desert termite mound versus regular Tatooine desert.
Yeah.
Coruscant's a big city. A lot of cool things in Revenge of the Sith that they just kind of
Utapau and
yeah,
Felucia.
God, those planets. Utapau, the sinkhole planet, and everything's made of bones. Oh, it's so fucking cool and creative. And
I
just
know,
love
like
it.
some of my favorite maps in like Star Wars Battlefront.
Yeah, and they all turn into great maps.
Yeah,
that really
exactly.
is like the bottom line probably for us. But
I mean, that's like most of like, probably probably less than 1% of the time my eyeballs have seen Felucia have been from Revenge of the Sith.
yeah, but they just made it a cool map from that one blink and you'll miss it scene, and it was great.
Yeah.
And it made you feel like their universe was big and strange. And then like
Camino, we didn't even mention Camino.
Camino.
Camino's cool. I mean, yeah, sure, it's all water, but like the buildings on it, like fucking cool.
but just like name planets in the new ones, and it's just like let's,
Tatooine again.
yeah, Jakku, fine. It's
yeah.
a desert, but it's filled with ruins of large ships. All right, that's a unique identity. Fine. And you know, even in the concept art, like the actual hired concept artists, they were drawing that same stuff where it's like ruinous, but on different biomes. Not, and then you can tell at the last minute they went, no, do desert Tatooine because that's what people recognize. And the same thing with Kylo Ren. He had a weird design that they had basically settled on. And then you can tell, like you can see it in the concept art books, just like building towards this one idea, and then snap, it's
something else.
Darth Revan. Because there's a thing in the like expanded universe, like a Darth Revan who's like way before in like the Old Republic, who basically looked like Kylo Ren, and you can tell an executive saw that and just like do that because people recognize that. So now Kylo Ren and Darth Revan just kind of look like the same.
Oh my god.
And
And of
like,
course, like like some people might recognize it, but like I sure didn't.
Yeah, but it's just like, yeah, it was lost upon casual viewers because of course it was. But
yeah,
it's just
not
like
like I was in the theater like, oh, Kylo Ren, like
So
like
you-
Darth Revan.
yeah, and you can tell several times they did that. They were building towards something, and then it just snapped to a completely different idea, and it's just kind of like what? And a tangent. Man, fuck Disney for throwing out the whole expanded universe. It's just like you could have kept that, but just done your own thing anyway. Like George Lucas, like people shit on him so hard for making the prequels, and that dude made 6 of the most iconic films ever in Star Wars and Indiana Jones. And then I guess the prequels and then the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull were bad, so it's 4 to 6. He's still winning. He
Yeah.
donates a lot of his riches, and he let just anybody add on to Star Wars, his canon. He was just like, come and get it. Write your own stories. Write your books, your comics, your movies. Have at it.
It's a universe.
Yeah,
like,
he let people just roll with it and have fun. Disney, like, five movies, a bunch of TV shows, all very much first person, not letting anyone like do anything with the IP. Like 2 video games. They're so strict with the IP. No one can add on to it except the Disney execs and who
Well,
they selectively pick.
There was there's Battlefront 1 and 2, and also Star Wars Jedi,
So that's
which
4.
the sequel came out.
Yeah,
recently,
we
so.
like Fallen Order and then Jedi Survivor just released, so that's like 4 video games that were lukewarmly received.
Yeah, well, I thought Fallen Order was... People really liked Fallen Order.
I think they liked it just because it's like a new Star Wars video game finally,
Yeah.
and it's palpable at least.
Yeah.
Like, it's not bad, but it's
Palatable?
not. It's still not anything real new and exciting. It's just like, oh, you finally got around to actually making video games, even though we got like 5 a year when the prequels were coming out,
Yeah.
and some of them were pretty good. We love Star Wars Battlefront.
Oh
You'll
my
hear us
God,
mention that a ton of times.
Mm-hmm.
Not the new ones, not the EA ones, because EA sucks.
Man, like...
But let's just, because we're getting into a long territory and it's getting late, but where we are now is with the TV shows, the Disney Plus TV shows, and I have lost count.
Yeah. Me too.
And
I
I
mean,
saw...
like, yeah. Kenobi and Andor.
That's right, Andor. Andor's the one that everyone loved, but it was just like too late because everyone had gotten tired of Star Wars by then and it wasn't getting views. And same thing with Kenobi. Because, like, I saw The Mandalorian and it's fine. It's a good, like, casual sci-fi western, I guess. But again, nothing new. A lot of the harkens back to just, like,
I
what
wish
you
they
recognize.
hadn't done Baby Yoda.
Even though it's the one thing it has going for it, really.
I know, but like, I don't know. It's like the one merchandise thing they have going for it.
Yeah.
Like, I like The Mandalorian. I think that was a good first, like, toe in the water for, like, a Star Wars TV show. But I think they took it in the wrong direction, and then they also did, like, the Book of Boba Fett, which is just a joke.
And have you seen Mandalorian Season 3?
No.
They're just out of ideas, and like people know it now. Like every review I've seen of Season 3, it's just like we're just kind of here now. And also, in Season 2, he leaves Baby Yoda with Luke, and then you have to watch Book of Boba Fett because he actually comes back to be with Mando.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember
And it's
seeing
just
that.
so if you haven't seen all of Book of Boba Fett, you're not gonna know what's going on in Mandalorian Season 3.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
So you have to watch the shitty one.
ridiculous.
And all of it deserves more. Boba Fett and that actor who's like played Jango Fett and all the Stormtroopers, he deserves so much
Voices,
better.
yeah.
He deserves to be in a good show.
I know,
And
like
so-
that poor guy.
And so did Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor, because I love them. They're both great, but they're just underutilized.
Yeah.
And Star Wars used to be special, man. And now it's so oversaturated. People have gotten tired of it way quicker than they got tired of Marvel films.
Yeah. And, like, yeah.
Because there's so much of it, and it's never quite what people want.
And we're literally recording this on the final day of Star Wars Wheel of Fortune week.
Yeah,
So, like,
and,
that's
you-
just highlights the fact that it's so oversaturated.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, I don't care about the argument. You're just like, oh, it used to just be for the nerds. Now it's for everybody. It's like, that's fine. It should be for everybody. But that shouldn't be because it's like defanged itself and never takes risks anymore.
Yeah, it got Disneyfied.
Yeah, and people are tired of it, and the fan base is losing interest, and Disney doesn't know what to do. Even though, just ask the creative people. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know where to go from here because there's you have so many like loose threads through
I
the
know
TV shows.
it's so messed up. It's like
you
it's
really
like you could have done something right, and I could have helped you earlier on, but now it's actually just like a fucking like burnt pile of like spaghetti like on the fucking like directly on the stove top, and it's like, okay, well, I guess there's nothing we can do about this now. Like,
you know what it is it's so much what comic books do, where they just they've killed off a bunch of characters and written themselves into a corner. Time for a universe reset.
yeah.
Just like wipe the slate clean and do like the new 52 or whatever, or Darkseid and Thanos snap their fingers, and now we're like doing it all over again a different way, and maybe we won't screw it up this time. Maybe we won't kill off all the characters people want to see and write ourselves into a corner.
Yeah, I think that honestly the best way forward is to just like, yeah, like to actually go to the expanded universe and just like try and find like a way to work that in.
There was talk, again, when Rian Johnson is the guy who directed 8.
Oh yeah.
There was talk about giving him his own trilogy that had nothing to do with like the Skywalker storyline. And as much as I'm lukewarm on any of Rian Johnson's movies, like they're fine, Knives Out's fine, Glass Onion's fine, I would love to see a... What?
I just said less fine.
Really? You didn't like Glass Onion?
I don't know. I mean, like...
I thought it was more the same, but it's still,
yeah,
it's still
I think
enjoyable.
that's probably the point, is that it's just...
And so I would have been fine with seeing a new trilogy that's got just, like, entirely separate in its own universe. Sure, you can bring back lightsabers, but just, like, in their own unique pocket. Like, just disconnect. Disconnect and make a good sci-fi movie trilogy.
Yeah.
And also have J.J. Abrams come in the middle film and just derail your plot line. That's only fair.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, I was just, the other day, like, I found something that, like, looked like a, it reminded me of a lightsaber. It reminded me of a lightsaber, but not like a genuine lightsaber, like the kind of lightsaber that someone would, like, build from scraps. And, like, I was talking to Lucas about this, and it's like, yeah, like, that could totally be, like, an idea, like, someone finds a lightsaber, a kyber crystal, and, like, fucking young Anakin Skywalker is his way into a working lightsaber, but he's not a Jedi, he just has a lightsaber, and, like, has to discover, like, how to use it, and, like, people recognize it, and they're like, oh, where'd you find that, and I gotta hide that from these people, or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's just, like, it's so easy to, like, make a Star Wars story that's more interesting than what we got.
Yeah, because it's space. Go anywhere, do anything, infinite potential space.
Yeah.
And another thing I touched upon is in The Mandalorian and, like, all these, like, TV shows, there's, like, 10 of them now, the technology they have is, like, they project the actual backgrounds on these, like, rounded screens, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've talked about this. They have that, and you can do anything with that. It's such a revolutionary concept, and what do they do?
More deserts. More deserts.
More desert. Tatooine again. Tatooine
again.
3.5. You can do anything. Have, like, a giant coral planet. Have, like, go to a lot of the concept art they didn't use for the prequels, but have, like, Bridge Planet, where, like, the buildings are hanging upside down.
Have Star Wars the Way of Water.
Yeah, fine, sure. Why not?
We've come full circle.
Have we had an aquatic planet like Camino, kind of?
And all the Naboo, like the Jar Jar's people.
That's right. They had the whole aqua core or the planet core that's like filled with water, and that was cool.
Yeah,
I love Naboo because it's like the first. Like I think George Lucas was like, all right, let's not do like a one biome per planet thing. Let's actually show a planet that has like 3.
Yeah,
so he did like swamp underwater and like open fields.
Yeah, just kind of like normal but cool, different.
Yeah. So, to sum it all up, it's just like we love Star Wars at its high points for us, and like we mostly see the potential in it,
and we
especially
mostly
if you're
accept the flaws.
Yeah, warts and all, and it's just like we know Disney's going to keep producing it. There's no way they'd let something that was even popular once die. if it was never popular, even though it was cool to let it die, like Atlantis and Treasure Planet, never made any money, so forget those. But Star Wars has made money before, so they're gonna keep cranking them out. I know they'll never take a risk because again, it's Disney. But boy, if they just take some risks with this like very fluid concept of wars in space,
Yeah,
wars
good and
amongst the stars.
evil.
Doesn't even have to be good and evil. Have political intrigue for like Game of Thrones style. I don't know.
Yeah, reminds me. I mean, just
Literally
like,
anything.
This is just like starks back to like this really old Star Wars PC game where like there was this like third faction at some point in like the Rebel era where like he's like a crime lord. Do you remember that?
Is it the well? Even in like Mandalorian, they have like the like pirate tusk looking symbol on flags and stuff, so it kind of like hints at it.
Oh yeah, maybe. I don't know. I just remember he has like long white hair. I'm pretty sure.
There's the Prince of Black Sun.
I don't know.
That was an expanded universe thing where he just has like a hard on for killing Luke Skywalker for some reason.
Huh.
I'm sure a lot of very good ideas got thrown out the door when they said the expanded universe is not canon. Some were bad shit. Like I think there's like just like a tiny ship that just goes around eliminating suns, and like a guy steals it, and they're like, "Oh God, what do we do now?" It's just like ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I love ridiculous. You know, if you've listened to this podcast, you know how much I just love ridiculous things, no matter how stupid they are. But if you can make it work in an intelligent way, all the better. And just I lost a point again.
Mm-hmm. Like a useless pencil.
Yeah, but just pick a direction and go in it, and stop muddling about, worrying about how it's going to come across. Because you know the Star Wars fan base has certainly proved they'll get mad about anything.
Yeah, I mean,
so it doesn't really matter pleasing the fans. Because
as long as you please this fan, right?
Well, you know, I think a lot of the decisions come from not wanting to offend anyone, and you know they've realized what many artists have realized already is that you can't offend nobody. Someone will always be mad, especially with a big enough fan base like this.
Exactly.
So just don't care and go with what you want. Let the artists do what they want. Do what you want. I don't know. Speaking directly to the Disney execs.
Yeah, the ones listening. We know you're
the
there.
ones tapping us for ideas. There's a bunch of them, most of which we haven't come up with ourselves. They were just already books about.
Yeah.
I think that's all I had to say.
Yeah, I mean, we're nearing 2 hours, and I'm sure we could do another 2 just talking about Star Wars.
And the stuff we loved.
All the memories we've made.
All the PC games, like the real-time strategy games of Star Wars.
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about. The one I'm trying to think of.
All the different creatures. I love creatures. That's almost like what my first thing I want to design when I design stuff is just like the weird animals. All of the stuff in the new movies are just tentacly octopus things. Did you notice that? So
it's
like
true, yeah.
the Rathtars in Force Awakens that Han Solo is transporting for some reason. The Bugolette in Rogue One, which is just like that. It's an octopus again, but it has like a neural thing where it like reads your mind. That giant thing in the wormhole in Han Solo. That's like just like in the void, and it gets sucked into a black hole.
Oh yeah.
It's just like another tentacled creature. Like, are you serious? I think there's even one in Rise of Skywalker. There's a big snake, but it's just a big snake, and more octopus heads, and like there's a new character that's a big slug. Like it just doesn't feel inspired. It feels lazy. I don't know. I guess I really am approaching this from like a design perspective first, but again, it's a visual medium first. Not that your script was much better, but
Yeah.
And it just seems like everybody has a better idea of what to do, even the actors involved. It's not the worst thing. I don't think I'm as mad about it as like all the crybabies that hate the prequels were, where they are sending death threats to the actors. I'm certainly not there, and I don't think the sequel trilogy is like the worst thing I've ever seen. It's far from the worst thing Disney's put out. That definitely belongs to the live action remakes of classic animated shows. We're still in the middle of that trend.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I would
Little
gladly...
Mermaid also just came out.
Yeah, I think that needs to disappear first. I hear The Little Mermaid's fine, which is like the best thing you can say about all of those movies. It's like fine. Again, a diminishing return. How could this be better than the original animated classic if you're just doing a shot-for-shot remake? Like, how could it be better if you're not adding anything?
Yeah.
So that'll be the next rant, the live-action remakes. There's plenty to say about that a lot of artists are saying.
Yeah. Just back to what I was talking about, like, eons ago, the old PC game is called Empire at War.
Yeah, I love that one. By the way, our last podcast was 8 months ago. Posted 8 months ago. It has 7 views at the moment. Thank you, 7 viewers. I don't care if you clicked on it by accident. I love you.
Yes. I hope you came back. I hope the 7 people that accidentally clicked on it also accidentally click on this one.
Yeah, not that I'm earning anything from this. It's not monetized, because it wouldn't be anything anyway. But, you know, check out my comic on wideworldcomics.com. Most of it's free. The, like, half a... Oh, yeah, he's showing me the picture of Empire at War.
Yeah, with the white, like, haired...
I'm flooded with
dude.
nostalgia. Yeah, that's either the Prince of Black Sun or the Pirate King, whatever. A lot of interesting stuff, I think.
Yeah, no, very, very cool. And, of course, it has the fucking Super Star Destroyer on the cover, too, which is, like, my favorite fucking thing.
You also notice that when... in any of these video games, when you're playing as the rebels, they have all these fictional tanks that the rebels definitely didn't have in any of the movies.
I know. I mean, I've thought of that before. Like, why do they have their own special line of starfighters? You know, like, wouldn't they just be using, like, any fucking thing they could find?
I think that is canonically true. Like, that's a thing they stole from the Empire. Or the Falling Republic. Like, the X-Wings, they stole those while the Empire was switching to TIE fighters.
I do know that, yeah, like the V-Wings show up in the Clone Wars. Or V-Wings? Sorry, A-Wings. Like the kind of purpley looking ones.
Alphabet soup.
Yeah, anyway, they harken to it at least.
Yeah, because again, as much as I love the original trilogy, the Empire has all the cool toys, and they don't use them nearly as much as they do in the prequels, so not as fun.
TIE fighters.
But yeah, 8 months ago was our last podcast, so...
Surprised it wasn't longer than that.
They could, like, Elden Ring's come out since then. That was a big thing. Hogwarts Legacy. We got a new dog.
Elden Ring wasn't 8. Elden Ring was more than 8 months ago.
But we recorded that thing probably 10 months ago, because I take forever to post these.
Yeah.
My fault, and I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're playing Elden Ring like last winter. Last spring, at least.
Maybe. But
anyway.
And the Ukraine war, we mentioned that last time. That's ongoing.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
I think you nailed it. The AI stuff is like our big change in the world recently.
Yeah. Yep, that's big scary news.
But thank you for tuning in. I promise I'll talk less about Star Wars now that I've gotten this all off my chest. I don't think I can fill an entire podcast ranting about the Joker, the movie, the Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, because I bring that up a lot, but I don't think it's worth a whole podcast.
God, no. Yeah.
What do you want to rant about?
Next
time. Don't do it now, because we're going on 2 hours.
Yeah, well, you got to do it next time, don't you?
Yeah, next time on the Wide World Comics podcast.
It's kind of like, you remember, fucking, I can never remember the name, the food people on YouTube.
Mukbang?
No. It's like, they make like a giant, like, Big Mac out of like smaller Big Macs.
And I could have told you what it was until you made me try and think of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Bacon strips and bacon strips and bacon strips. Epic mealtime.
Epic mealtime. I knew it was like a 3-word thing. Anyway, I just remember because like every time at the end of the one, they just like say it, and next time, and we like do some crazy thing like, and next time we deep fry your great aunt or something like that.
She would fry it pretty good.
Yeah, a lot of meat there.
Frida.
Jesus Christ.
That's the first great aunt I can think of.
I mean, that's what Frida is like, fried, right, in Spanish, right?
Is it? Oh no, fried
like
Frida.
Fritas,
Aw,
right?
I love you, great aunt Frida. I'm sorry.
Anyway, yeah.
But you want to rant about epic mealtime?
No, I just because like every time I will, it's the like you know what you say at the end. You know, like and next time.
Yeah, but do you have anything you want to rant about?
I don't know. Well, I mean, now that you mention it, maybe like old YouTube stuff. You know,
It's
Epic
content.
Mealtime
It's not very creative.
equals 3
In a traditional like storytelling thing, which is what you usually focus on.
But hey, it's postmodernism, which
Yeah,
is like
yeah,
what
alright.
we are.
If I remember, and I won't, we'll talk about YouTube videos we like next time because that's a topic we haven't touched on. I watch a lot of Let's Plays.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, and I've talked about Yogscast like a few times, maybe without.
It's good.
Really
It's good content.
Yeah.
It's not red letter media.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if you like those guys. You know, everyone's allowed to like what they want, but I do like Mr. Plinkett, but that's like he hasn't done one of those in years.
All right. Yeah. Well, we'll see you next time where we grill a catalytic converter.
Mm-hmm. I have 4 of them in my car, and they're all broken. But yeah, read Vanishing Horizon on WideWorldComics.com. I'm on every like social media, like Instagram. I post the first issue to like DeviantArt and Tapas and what is it called? Webtoon. So if you look for me, you'll find me. And thank you so much to anyone who's kept interested in what we've been doing. I'm still hoping to build this into a larger thing, and I'm not willing to give up on it.
Yeah, hopefully this will be the kind of thing that like fans in the future will be like, man, I wonder what like were they posted videos way back in the day? Wow, they were
Yeah.
really popular back then.
Come and see how outdated this is when all of the Disney plus Star Wars shows are remembered as this great legacy compared to where Star Wars is then.
God, don't even give me nightmares.
All right, thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
Adios.
I love catalytic converters. They always like taste like pennies.
Mm-hmm.
Good night, everybody.